Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Not for Normies tournament. Tonight we have our second match between Hybrid and Clarity, the number one seed of this entire tournament. And I'm very lucky to be with Lafon and Ria. And even though we unfortunately can't see his face tonight, we're still lucky to have him in this broadcast. How are you holding up over there, Rian?
I'm doing good. Shaking off the rust. It's been a little bit, but excited to get back into it. It's going to be a great matchup tonight.
Yes, I know that it's going to be really interesting to see how Hybrid, who has just come off a 2-1 victory against the University of Toronto, plays against Clarity, who has set such a high seed. Do you know anything about Hybrid's play style?
Well, I know Hybrid, they said they like to play pretty aggressively because their team is very well rounded on, all accounts. They're very versatile as well. So I'm excited to see, how they kind of carry that in game. What comps are they going to play? What comps usually play towards being aggressive? Well, Dive and Goat's first ones that come to mind for me.
Yes, and right now, Lafon, Clarity is ready for Hybrid, but when they see such an aggressive playstyle coming out from the gates, what are some tricks that Clarity might have up their sleeves to counter this?
I mean, one of the things we heard about Clarity from themselves is that they prefer to play a sort of a reactionary style, something that's a little bit more, reserved, planning on what the opponent is actually going to play towards them and then reacting towards that. So I'd be interested to see how Clarity brings that out, especially against a team who have highlighted themselves as aggressive and choosing to play sort of that more in-your-face play style. I'm really, really curious because Clarity, as we mentioned, have got some great names on that team. Ultimate Web, for example. Anyone who's followed Tier 3 Overwatch for a while knows his name, as well as Amadian, who has been highlighted earlier, Tracer player for Clarity. There is going to be an interesting gameplay here, I think, from Clarity in regards to how they approach Hybrid's more aggressive play style in this case.
And Rian, what do you think is something that Team Hybrid can rely on, especially when dealing with these very talented DPS players coming in from Clarity?
Well, one of the things is their supports main Ana and Lucio, right? And Lucio, of course, really, really good at peel. He gets in the back line, right? Protects your support, speeds them out of danger, boops away the attacker, or Ana just by herself. You can, if you hit a nice sleep dart, then you can just shut down any flankers. So I think, they might be kind of falling back on their back line, hoping that they can stay alive and protect themselves so that Hybrid can kind of fight back against Clarity.
Right. I've never been slept by an Ana flanking. That's never happened in my gameplay. Of course not. But anyways, as we do go into our first map tonight, we'll be headed to everyone's favorite, King's Row. Lafon, why does this map have such a fond place in so many Overwatch fans' hearts?
I mean, it's one of the original maps, right? Overwatch is a game that's been out for almost 3 years now. So that's been going on quite a while. And this map has had itself its heyday. It is a map that can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of things on it, correct? Right? You can do whether you want to play tanks, you want to play dive. It's one of the more balanced maps in terms of play styles. And each point has its own gameplay aspect that you can actually approach at a certain way, right? You talk about first point, it's a little bit more open. You can get into more rotational stuff. And then, of course, Streets phase, where you play a little bit more on that line aspect of your gameplay. So there is a lot here at King's Row where you can sort of change your playstyle around what your opponent is playing as opposed to playing a style the map requires, which is why I think King's Row has become such a favorite amongst competitive players here in Overwatch.
Andrea, and I know you actually have some coaching experience yourself. When you're preparing to attack on King's Row, what are some of your favorite characters some of your favorite heroes you like to bring out?
Definitely King's Row attack. I really like Ryan Zarya, Diva, and I think you can tell where I'm going with this. I like to play Goats a lot. Run through the hotel, get right underneath that clock tower, force the defense to drop down on you, and then you just steamroll right over them with that wonderful, wonderful comp that we all know and love. And it's pretty effective, I will say.
I suppose so. Lafon, do you think that right now, as we head into this next match, will Clarity or Hybrid be able to come out on top?
Oh, this is a tough one for me. I'm going to go with Clarity just because clear-sightedness is something I wish to have, so we will take advantage of the name there with the prediction, so I call Clarity out on top, although I hope Hybrid Esports gives it a bit of a fight and we get a 2-1 scoreline at the end of this.
What about you, Rian?
Another tough one for me, but, I'm going to just play the other side. I think Hybrid's got this, honestly. I think, aggressive teams are usually my favorite, so I can't wait to see these guys go head-to-head.
I was in the middle between those two teams in the first matchup. I think I'm going to stay in my lane there for this next matchup and just hope for the best Overwatch we can. But Unfortunately, I can't find my passport. I can't go to London with you guys. I'm sorry, but please enjoy King's Row for me. Bring back me a couple of pasties, okay?
Will do. All right, LaFawn. Well, we're gonna get underway here soon with Kings Row. I guess both of us have different opinions on which team are gonna end up taking this out. But we've got the hybrid esports. They're gonna start on the attack, and I kind of briefly mentioned it. But what comps do you expect them to run?
I mean, I would be very surprised if we didn't see some tank-esque comps from both these teams. I would
Oh
be
yeah.
disappointed, though, if we don't get to see some of the more Sombra Doomfist things. Perhaps not in King's Row
Oh.
specifically, but in general. It is a comp that has come to light these most recent days, as we have seen through World Cup, as well as Contenders Trials, especially of the EU variety, where there were some of that game style played. And now to see it here would be nice, but again, as I said, I do doubt it. Goats will likely be the play of the night, and it's something that gets a little bit more and more fatiguing, I think, as time goes on.
Yeah, definitely. Especially for the teams, it's so aggressive constantly. You're just banging into each other over and over and over. It gets a little stressful. And Doomfist Sombra, I totally agree with you. That comp has been running rampant recently. Brief mention of the coaching experience from Katrina. I do have my team run Doomfist Sombra, what I like to call Disruption Dive. With Winston and Diva, and then Doomfist and Doomfist and Sombra. Ana as well. Hack one of the main tanks, throw an anti-nade in there. Team's as good as gone.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do there, right? In terms of just the sheer prevention of any sort of damage or healing. The mitigation is always so great. And realistically speaking, I don't doubt that we will see tons of Ana here tonight. She's one of my favorite heroes, has been since she was released, and the grandma continues to cement her place since her recent buff. So it will be nice to sort of see her and that Biotic Nade and Sleep Dart. And I guess we can't leave the Nano Boost out too late either. It's a great ability now that it got its health on cast, actually.
Yeah, there's been definitely some contention in the community of, is Ana overpowered? And should they lower that healing on Nano Boost? And we'll see how that, plays a part into this. If the tank is very low, Troll, expect him to be playing on that front line, and he might get damaged a whole lot by Yankee Wolf on the Sombra, who's kind of flanking around for a hack right now. Waiting in the hotel, coming out, gets the hack on the Troll. Now no shield for the defense. Let's Clarity move right in. Or not Clarity, rather Hybrid. Getting myself all confused. We haven't even gotten too far in this. See an anti-nade caught by the attackers there. Monster, of course, taking the brunt of the damage, but able to stay alive. Clarity now backing up. Troll almost gets hacked again, but able to stay alive for the most part. You can see Ultimate Web just kind of diving in, poking, pushing back the tanks. Seems that the Hybrid are at a bit of an impasse here. Pushing in now. Both teams, Troll and Monster, both taking one. We're going to see Monster gets that support from his Ana, giving him that extra healing, but he's still very low. Graviton Surge comes out, Ultimate Weap's the first to fall. Hero gets that, and with no Doomfist, a lot of damage lost for this defense. However, they're trying to come back for this. They use that Dragon Strike. Owl goes for the boop onto Monster, not going to pan out. Unfortunately, Amadian gets that kill into Badger. Now, attackers beginning to fall apart. That huge Graviton Surge, able to catch two. Defense looking to stabilize, but Odd caught out. And attackers, of course, do have the spawn advantage, so they want to go for a quick regroup here.
There's a lot coming in, right? The attackers are going to have a chance to get in before Odd comes back in for the defensive setup. There is going to be an opportunity here as Amadian, though, picking off Hero, is going to probably stifle this one out right away.
You gotta watch Monster here. He's got this Earth Shatter. If he can find a big one, it'll shut down this. Even another Nano Boost. Web comes up big. 2 down, and the defense holds strong.
Yeah, this has been a really messy attack round here from Hybrid. I mean, they had the opportunity. They had a lot of opening attacks, but right away it was, MJuly with a brilliant Bionade knocking it out. And we do see Yankee Wolf prowling around and Hero switching over to the Pharah for some of that aerial combat. Again, no hit scan available for the defense, so they will likely try and provide a little bit more pressure here. Hero doing a lot of damage from range as Troll sets up in front here, Rien.
Yeah, the recent buffs to Pharah let her shoot faster, and that has had an overall impact on her DPS. Another Dragon Strike. Defense is doing a great job of building these ultimates up so quickly. Unfortunately, not finding a whole lot of value. There you go. Troll goes down, and the Earth Shatter. Monster knows he can find a big one. However, he slept. Squid Kid able to follow up on Troll, and there's the Nano Boost on the Hero as well. Attackers really looking to clean up this fight and capture this first point of King's Row. Odd, though, does get the kill on a Hero. Clarity are looking to stabilize this point as Monster is extremely low on that front line. Ultimate picks up 2, And once again, the Clarity hold on King's Row.
This is a bit of a strange attack round from Hybrid Esports. They seem to get openings, slowly build their way in, and then right away, whether Clarity through better reaction times or better kiting throughout what resources they have, are able to sort of zone Hybrid out. Hybrid unable to really take advantage. They've been stuck. Unable to really convert any of their kills in. There doesn't seem to be really coordination. And now with 6 seconds remaining, they don't have a lot to work with beyond the EMP, but that is gone already.
Oh, and Troll immediately bats down Squid Kid as well. The Frog, he's pretty slippery, but he can't get out of that one. 4 members already down. Hero's the last man standing. Clarity really looking to put a dominant defense here.
Disasters here for Hybrid, of course, is that Yankee Wolf actually used the EMP and got no value from it. Either was stunned or was killed way too quickly and just unable to really convert anything there. So now Hybrid, with less than 30 seconds remaining, have 2 ultimates realistically to work with here in last fight territory. Troll still with that Earth Shatter.
Watch on, he's going for the flag, gets that Graviton Surge. Unfortunately, cannot be eaten by Yankee Wolf. Amarian picks up 3, 4 with that Dragon Strike. And that puts an end to the hopes and dreams of Hybrid as Ultimate Wolf gets that final kill on the Yankee Wolf. 10 seconds left. Can anyone even make it?
Hero's going to have to be the one to be the hero. That Hammond is going to have to be the one that touches Hero. Almost there. Does get there in time. So it is going to be massive in time. Squid KD on point, but gets punched away, and Troll with the Earth Shadow will lock them out here, Rian. Nano Boost committed, but this is unlikely to do anything beyond stall.
Oh, so much CC and Monster. Just knocked around like a pinball there. Couldn't even touch the point. What a hold there by Clarity. I mean, Hybrid Esports, they really just couldn't get a foothold in, it seemed like.
I think here for Hybrid, you kind of have to throw this attack round away and just plan for defense, because there's a lot there to unpack if you go back and watch the VOD. But unfortunately for them, they don't have the opportunity to do that here now. Of course, when you're playing the game, it is kind of hard to review your gameplay in time. As Hybrid, they did have opportunities. They did have angles of attack, and they did have openings. But even when, Clarity lost some of their players, lost some of their, foothold, they really carefully played around, sight lines, making sure there was no real angle of opportunity for Hybrid to walk in on. And for them, that is going to be, a well-oiled machine almost in how they play. Very good communication, it seems like, from the caster booth, if you will. I think here Clarity has a better understanding of how they want to play their defense compared to how Hybrid wants to run their offense. They had a very disjointed attack round, right? They play a Pharah, they play a Sombra, but they're running kind of goats. They hack a target that can't really nullify the Biotic Nade. There's a lot of stuff here that Hybrid can work on, and unfortunately for them, it's, one cog is always out of place, and that allows Clarity, who work together as a team and work together well, to just clean up the fight in every sense.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed is that you mentioned the defense, how well they played. I don't really think the supports on the side of Clarity died really at all. I was watching the kill feed very closely, and I only saw their names maybe once or twice. So what a great job for them of being able to stay alive, which is so important. And just getting that healing. Attackers here running full dive.
Yeah, it is back to 2017 now for Clarity. As they're going to run that dive. Hero on the high ground, knocking them away, but still the zoning in from Amadian, and there goes Hero.
Clarity definitely wanted to highlight how good of a player Amadian was, and you see him getting that one clip really onto Hero, just shutting him down. He is really the hero that Clarity needs, and Monster falls immediately. Squid KD very low in the back, both DPS on him. There's not much you can do there but despair. And now, really, what can you do if you are the Hybrid Esports? You just gotta give up. Clarity's got this, taking a quick win on King's Row.
And they did talk about being reactive, but that was a very aggressive push from Clarity. They come in, they see Hero out of position, they wait till he comes into a place where all his cooldowns are burnt out. Amadian jumps in, the clip is there, the kills from the Tracer, and that's going to be the falling of the dominoes, essentially. All the ones in sequence, Ultimate Web can just, dash through the team and get the team wiped, as Amadian shows for the returns side.
That's great.
The Dragon Strike combo, still so powerful.
Yeah, and an interesting fact, Amadian, this is his first FPS.
I mean, if you're good, you're good, right? And Amadian there, a little tactical crouching, shall we say, towards the end of the map. But hey, if you don't like it, you gotta win. And for Clarity, that's what they do. Hybrid Esports, they have a chance now. Map 2 is up, and for them, this is going to have to be what their turnaround starts on.
All right, and then you know what? since we're out of London now, let's bring Katrina back in. Unfortunately, we couldn't pick up any pastries for you. Maybe next time.
All right. I mean, we'll see where our next map is taking us. But for now, I just need to talk about Clarity's defense, a full hold on King's Row.
Crazy.
Absolutely phenomenal. Rian, what made Amadian on that Hanzo so dangerous for the predominantly Ghost composition, but having a Sombra on the side of Hybrid?
You see, the thing is, you saw in that play of the game, right? Amadian was positioned in the hotel. His team was positioned outside of it, so he had a different angle, so he could, find his way past the shield of Reinhardt most of the time, and that really is what allowed him to find a lot of value. He would wait, kind of out of sight, crouching tiger, hidden dragon in this case, literally, because he's Hanzo, and he was able to get out there, find the shots, get those crucial picks that would just shut down the attackers right away. And really, you saw the value that it had in just allowing Clarity to full hold that.
And Lafon, I would really like to highlight the ultimate economy of Clarity. You mentioned how they were kiting throughout that entire defense. Could you elaborate on what you meant by that term?
I mean, it kind of ties into what Rian mentioned earlier, right? Pressure is the name of the game. Kiting essentially is a term to basically, in very loose terms, walk back when someone comes in at you, right? Like you kite them out of position. You make sure that your movement, or you move in such a way that whatever they do doesn't actually affect you very much, which allows you to re-engage. Essentially you're retreating. You're retreating in the loosest terms, which allows you to come back in when you have advantage in your own, whether cooldowns or time or positioning, whatever the case may be. You force the other team to use resources, you don't, and then when their resources are used up, you go in on and use your resources, usually to better effect. And that is a story of King's Row. Hybrid, they come in, they play a really, I don't want to say aggressive style because it looked really passive. They didn't take advantage of when they had opportunities, and Clarity just waited them out. Patience is the name of the game, and oftentimes when you're the more patient team, you will be the winning team. So Clarity, a much better understanding of their resources and of course of the timings from whatever Hybrid was using themselves. It almost seemed that they understood what Hybrid were trying to run better than Hybrid did for themselves. So they shut down the composition basically in its entirety. Troll kept Earthshadow the entire defensive round. Basically didn't have to use it because there was no pressure required. So for Hybrid, there has to be better economy in terms of every ability, not just ultimates, but everything in terms of their positioning, their timings, their cooldowns, everything realistically.
And during that last attack, Clarity was able to really shine on that dive offense, but Hybrid was trying to run a Sombra Doomfist defense. Rian, why do you think that those two characters didn't necessarily work the best on that defense?
You know what's interesting? Because on paper, right, you look at that combo, Doomfist, Sombra. Sombra hacks somebody, Doomfist just runs in, gets the punch, they're dead instantly. You're like, wow, this is a great idea. We run this. But in reality, you got that old pesky Zarya. She's right there waiting always with the bubbles. Anytime Doomfist wants to go in, bam, bubble whoever he dives in on. Not only are they immune to CC unless Doomfist is right up in their face, but then you just feed Zarya charge, and Zarya builds her Graviton faster, which enables her DPS, and then it's just kind of a snowball effect.
Well, there's not going to be any snowballs in the map where we're headed to next. We are going to Junkertown in Australia. Guys, I still can't find my passport. Please get me the Junkertown Queen's autograph. I can't wait to see what we have in store from these two teams. Take it away.
Well, we're traveling to the land down under. Lafon, Junkertown, really interesting map in terms of comps that are run. One of my personal favorites, the pirate ship attackers, of course. They run that Orisa, the Bastion. You set the sails or the Orisa shield, and then you sit your Bastion right behind it. Whole lot of damage on that front line, but that's kind of fallen out of popularity. Do you think we might see that here?
I think it's kind of interesting that we kind of bring up the pirate ship when we talk about a Junker Queen. Do you think there's any relation there? I don't know. Junker Queens, pirates? Probably not. Probably not. I'm reaching a little too far with that one. But to your compositional question, yeah, you're right. It has kind of fallen out of favor because double sniper is a thing, right? Like Hanzo,
Absolutely.
Widowmaker, there's sightlines you can just sort of set up, and we did see this throughout Overwatch League and then throughout contenders as well. Here, I don't know if was Junkertown playing contenders. It's been a long while since I got to see this map in competitive play. That being said, yeah, look at all the sightlines that happen on Junkertown. You've got really long angles of attack, so you can set up your Widowmaker flank, and then your Hanzo can just sort of play wherever he kind of wants to. Got a lot of mobility these days, something that can be really, really effective in repositioning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with you because you know, Bastion, the Orisa shield, it works, but only in one direction, right? She's not like Reinhardt where she can just turn constantly and reposition her shield. It's on a cooldown. So once she places it, snipers just move, reposition, find a better spot, use their grapple, their lunge, whatever it is, and then they just find a shot onto the Bastion, take him down very quickly because he's a stationary target, and then there you go. You've shut down that entire attack in one fell swoop because Pirate Ship is very dependent on the Bastion. But on defense side, this isn't at all a surprise. This Orisa Hog, what do you think they're going to do with this, LaFon?
Set up shield, hold pork, if you will. Halt and hook. It's a combo that's tested, and it's probably the only thing Hog is good for these days, unfortunately.
Oh.
I like my Road Hog just as much as any other off tank, but to say he's in a good position is a bit unfortunate. Odd goes fishing and finds himself a sleep dart for his troubles. Not much else going there, but Cart has moved forward quite a bit here for Hybrid, so they are going to get past that first halfway point now here on Junkcam's first here, Rien, as the first poke phase kindly sets up.
And you see, there wasn't much going on there, not a whole lot of picks. Squid KD does get one, but the important was that sleep onto Odd and let the defense had to back up, right? Which let the offense get the cart as far up as it is. Odd a little bit out of position, gonna be taken down by Hero there. Amadian dropping back, but he doesn't have a whole lot of support from his team. Wants to play this angle, try and find a shot, but he knows he's not gonna be able to do that when you've got Badger on the prowl, as well as Yankee Wolf just looking for your head, and there you go. Attackers got the first point. Very decisive.
Yeah, that's a very, very clean first point there from Hybrid, as they understand their compositional strengths, and unfortunately for Clarity, they have the opposite effect where they kind of misplay themselves, put themselves out of position, and off the back of essentially only 2 kills, turn their fight entirely in their favor. So now Clarity switches over. They're going to bring Dive into the question with the tanks. As other than that, that's going to be a reset. So now look, the defense with a better position and better engaged timings, and before the doors even really close, are going to get themselves a hold for now. Clarity now cement themselves a pretty strong defensive position here. That high ground is so tough to engage on, and yeah, Amadian in the corner, going to be uncontested, find a couple of headshots, and that's it.
Oh, Yankee Wolf though, in spawn, able to find the shot, and of course, no mercy on the side of Clarity here, so there's going to be no res. They're up at an advantage here, so if I'm Hybrid right now, I push right in. There you go, Nano Boost comes out onto the Winston here. Dragon Strike as well. Auto, oh, caught on the outside, unlucky, but Ultimate Whip does get the pick. 2 picks actually with the Dragon Strike, and then of course the Storm Arrow. Tried and true combination really, and defense gonna hold once more. Doors have finally closed now, LaFon.
Yeah, this is actually not a good situation here for Hybrid Esports. The doors closing is actually not good for them because now they have 1 fewer areas to enter through, and this allows Clarity to set up even more of a defense. Sight's going to be committed here by Yankee Wolf going in on, so Amadian at the disadvantage, and they're going to engage Monster with the Nano Boost. They're going to force the Transcendence out.
Big pick onto that anti-nade. One of the most important abilities in the game, and without it, you can't shut down that Transcendence that Squid KD just used. But however, Troll and Odd in the backline, wreaking some havoc here. Troll gets the pick on it, nobody cares. And like I just said, that on such a high value target, you see the attackers just have to back out. Yankee Wolf caught in a bit of a bad position here in a duel with Ultima Web. And of course, Hanzo gonna win that close range duel 9 times out of 10.
In the support life, it's a game of chicken, right? Which thing is going to force you, what ability is going to force you to use your abilities first? And the Transcendence from Squid KD was forced out, and Owl, or Troll rather, able to wait it out, gets the Primal Rage kills afterwards. And that early pickoff from Ultimate Web shuts down yet another push before it even begins.
Lots of ultimates going out. Nobody cares. Caught. Squid KD, of course, found as well. Both supports down, like you said. Attackers, you just gotta back out. A whole lot of ultimates invested in that fight, however.
They do use quite a bit. They use the Dragon Strike. They use the, I believe, the Self-Destruct. Yeah, they do. That's odd with the Self-Destruct. So they do find themselves down a couple, but they still have some stuff to work with. Again, that Nano Boost is available and no Transcendence on the reverse. So Troll can do a lot of damage with that on Cart, for example.
Yeah, exactly. You saw the value of the Nano Boost last time, and here you go, look at that! Troll just goes into the backline 3! Who says Winston isn't a DPS? Troll really looking to prove everyone wrong. Oh, get a little bit of tactical crouching in there as well, alright.
Hey, I mean, if you got it, you got it. And this time Troll absolutely does. Oh, and here comes the Diva passive. The stagger is in, and Badger is actually Badger's Up is going to get destroyed there. That push going to be delayed another 15, 20 seconds at the minimum. And while that's happening, Ultimate Web has built up to another Dragon Strike. So again, now Ultimate's coming online yet again for the defense. Clarity in a very good position. Hero has switched off to the Genji. And Squid KD from the Zen to the Brigitte. But it may not be enough here as Dragon Strike committed by Ultimate Web. And that allows the cleanup to come through. Defense hold yet again.
Great cleave from that Dragon Strike. Not a lot of picks, but what it did is split up Hybrid into two different parts and just let the Clarity pick and choose on who they wanted to kill first.
Now, I mean, swap's coming in for Hybrid. They do switch over Yankee Wolf off the hit scan, off the Widowmaker to the Sombra. So they are going to switch that dive composition, but Amadi another pick off here. That is going to be disastrous. Only one support left. Hero so low. Gonna keep engaging though.
Yankee Wolf catches a few shots, 17 HP, has to translocate out of danger, but he's still being chased down and nobody cares, being very pressured right now by Troll, who finds that pick. Badger soon to be demeched on that front line, and again, Clarity, man, they were able to stabilize this defense very quickly, and they've been holding extremely strong.
This is something we talked about after King's Row, right? What is the point of resources and how do you manage them? And there, Hybrid uses a lot. They use the Nano Boost, they use the Primal Rage, and both of them convert only to pulling the Transcendence out of Owl, and that's a trade you'll make every single day of the week. And on top of that, they don't get any kills. So, you know, they do use a couple of ultimates to do Clarity, but it doesn't matter because they're holding yet again. And on top of that, they pull ultimates out of Hybrid.
Oh, there's another Dragon Strike looking to spell disaster, and it does. There, Dragon Blade, though, invested by Hero, perhaps into a losing fight. It's gotta be a good one, but he can only find one pick. Looks for the Reflect, doesn't find anything. Squid KD does get the kill onto Ultimo up here. Hero just looking for more targets right now. 69 HP, able to get the healing from the supports, but Rally now invested. Attackers looking to push in. Monster making the swap over the hand. It self-destructs. Troll down. Opening perhaps that the attackers need. Owl and MJuly fighting here all on this high ground. Protecting each other as supports do. Monster taking this high ground is driving the Clarity back. Ultimo Web swapping over to this Doomfist. Wants to find this punch as soon as possible as overtime is in. Doomfist extremely good at getting one-shot kills. Pushing in onto Yankee Wolf, but no! Was that the dreaded letter number?
Yes, it was.
C9.
Yes, it was indeed.
Oh boy.
You know, I have expectations here from everyone watching, but you are going to get a chuckle out of that one. That's one of the cleaner ones you're going to see in a long time there. Hand in face is pretty much all you can say for the offense. That's all they got to be thinking is that. I mean, it was I will say this. It was likely to be Clarity's hold anyway. They had cooldowns, they had ultimates, and unfortunately for Hybrid, they did have to burn a lot to even get to that phase, but you never want to see a map end like that.
Right.
Just getting off the payload in overtime, the time ticks away, and everyone is left sort of wondering, oh wait, why did the map end? Why did the and then you realize with a dreaded sense of, you know, it was us. We're the reason we lost. We stepped off the point is over, and now we have to defend. So Hybrid got to shake that off. They can't let that get to them here because, again, only about 1.5 way through the map is all they were able to earn on their attack round. Yeah. And now the defense, they have their work cut out for them.
Absolutely. And, you know, I totally agree. I mean, I was confused at what's happening too. I was all ready for pop off on that Doomfist, and all of a sudden I see map ended. I'm like, well, wait a minute, what happened? Oh, of course, the old C9, the classic.
It's a thinker. I'll give you that.
Yep. That's perhaps the best way to put it. All right, look at this. Look at this. We talked about it at the beginning. Is this the pirate ship?
It is indeed. It is indeed, but not for long. Perhaps. Actually, it's a bit of a varied pirate ship. Ultimate Whip on the Rhine.
Oh.
We're gonna go for full shielding here.
This is the Hot Pocket comp. I remember this. I remember seeing this. You get the Orisa shield in the front, Reinhardt shield in the back. For whatever reason, for God knows why, it's Pocket composition, but we're just gonna run with that name rather than the pirate ship because, you know, frankly, I kind of like it a little better. I'm gonna be honest. But this Bastion here definitely doing a lot of work. Look at that ultimate charge just skyrocket. went from 20 to 40 in about 1 second. But here, you see Arisa holding this frontline monster, but he's a bit split up from the rest of his team, and he's just mowed down on that frontline. Odd D-Mech by Yankee Wolf, who again is trying to go for this flank, but because you have both shields of Ultima and Troll, you can't really get that angle because the Bastion's protected on both sides, and now Troll finds Yankee Wolf defense very fractured. They're in shambles perhaps, as Badger is the last man standing on this front line of Marion in the tank mode. Now slept, but that's alright. You can take a little nap after all the work you put in on that front line, and you see once again, look how fractured the defense is. So many stagger picks coming out.
That point was about as quick as you'd like, and it's about the same as actually the as Hybrid got for themselves. The only difference being now they're going to be unable to get a real early contest the same way Clarity did on their attack round. And with 5 minutes remaining, they're going to push about halfway through before Hybrid can even get back to contest.
It's an extremely solid time bank, because even if Clarity gets full wiped instantly, they still have so much time left in the bank to make this work. And we're gonna see what these compositional switches can do for the Hybrid. You know, moving over to this Junkrat, gonna see if the spam damage is enough, but Hero drops down from the high ground right away, and again, the nano boosted Bastion. He sounds like a lawnmower even. Picks coming out right away. Monster goes down. Hero next. However, 2 down for the offense as well. Their Mercy being picked is huge. No res, no Valkyrie, which is the biggest part. Self-destruct clearing out those shields on the front line, but a counter self-destruct invested by Badger. No picks from either. They're odd. Getting back in the mech right away. Yankee Wolf and Badger finding the kills. Owl comes back in the fight and actually goes Battle Mercy for a quick second, but the reses are in. Amadian and Yankee Wolf are brought back to life, and here comes Amadian with that tank mode, but Badger and Hero put a quick end to him. Earth Shatter comes out from Ultra F. It's a big one, registered on the Richter scale, but unfortunately, everyone was prepped for that Earth Shatter, and no picks are going to come out, no follow-up. So, defense looking to hold strong here, but Ultimate's still being invested. The fight is still happening. Nobody cares, though. Finds Owl. Ultima F is the last Crusader, and he falls to an anti-nade. So, defense holds for now, but 3 minutes and 35 seconds for the offense, LaFon.
Man, would that I had instant replay, because this was a fight to break down. There's a lot going on there, a lot of ultimates used, and unfortunately for Clarity, though, they are going to switch here to a dive composition with ultimate weapon on the Genji, Amadian on the Tracer. It is going to be delayed for the moment, but back to that hold for now. It all starts with the contest, right? Amadian gets committed with the nano boost, but they're able to zone him out, force him out of the turret mode, and then configuration sentry. And then on top of that, Badger gets a self-destruct. It forces self-destruct in return from Odd, and Odd just not getting value from it. They're able to zone them off cart, and that'll win them out the fight. Now back to the current fight, though. And slowly going up the high ground now, Squid KD caught out for the moment.
Oh, here comes the dive in from the Hammond Monster, though a little bit late on the trip. However, MJ caught there with Owl. Owl able to stay alive, though. Nanoboost now going on to Badger. Pushes away the tanks of Troll, and Odd pushes back that dive, and Troll falls. But Ultima Amadian getting a whole lot of picks. Badger using his own self-destruct, looking for some zone. There's nowhere to hide, and Owl falls to Badger's self-destruct. He remixed right away. Badger really being the crux, the anchor for this defense, because a lot of their members died, but he was able to hold on, find value in contesting and using his ultimate to zone, and then getting picks and enabling the DPS, the surviving DPS, to go and contest.
Yeah, it's so hard, right? Like, how do you describe what a good off-tank does? They peel, they do damage, they make sure they have... There's so much that a good off-tank does that is never noticed, and I think now Badger's actually standing out in terms of what he's capable of doing, and we sort of see that in the self-destruct timings as well. But that being said, Clarity not taking their time off, re-engage right away.
And again, defense has no shields. They have no shields with Monster and Badger. It's all just their bodies of the tanks for damage mitigation. Ultimate trying to take advantage of that, using this Dragon Blade, pushing in Squid KD. You're where can you go? Back to the spawn, apparently, and Ultimate now looks for the old granny, but he might have bitten off more than he can chew. However, the rest of his team able to just quickly clean up on the rest of the surviving members of the defense. Amadian finds nobody cares. Hero is there for the contestation, able to allow Monster to get back, but he's just quickly executed there. Squid KD trying to go back in the front line, but there's no ultimates, nothing to sustain that defense. And Clarity once more takes this and brings the score to a 2-0 on Junkertown.
And that was a clinic from Clarity. Even their moments when they looked like they were under pressure, it didn't take them very long to reset. Much cleaner in their execution at every level. And here we see Troll with the nano boost comes in, and oh man, it's a disaster.
Yeah, you let the monkey out of the cage. Oh boy, he's angry, and he does primal rage. See, Winston is so good at just getting a whole lot of members. If you have a whole lot of members clumped in one area, Winston, he's gonna have a field day with that.
Yeah, there's something actually really interesting about Nano Boost's prioritization in terms of who gets most benefit from it, and it actually turns out that heroes that can do a lot of AoE damage and require the healing boost from Nano Boost get a lot of value, right? And Winston is perhaps prime amongst them. He goes from a damage.
Oh yeah.
The Tesla Cannon is nothing to scoff at on its own, but with Nano Boost, it becomes a really deadly electrical nightmare for the opponent. And of course, the healing just goes right back from 200 HP all the way back up to 500. No question there. And it is absolutely disastrous. And with no, sleep dart, no peel, no transcendence available, and of course, all half HP already, Troll was able to just clean up. And the Winston continues to show why he's such a good hero throughout the majority of Overwatch's history, in fact.
Yeah.
As he continues to be a good target to play.
And Katrina, I'm so sorry we couldn't get you an autograph because they never even made it to the Junkertown Queens layer, perhaps I guess you want to call it. So that's 0 for 2. I'm sorry.
Yeah, someday I'll forgive you guys, I promise. But first, like you were saying, that Winston was absolutely incredible coming in from Troll. Clarity started out with the tank compositional defense of that Orisa and that Roadhog. However, didn't have a lot of success in that first push's defense, so they switched immediately over to dive, kind of going back to what Lafon was saying about having that more reactionary play style. Was that really a major factor in how Clarity was able to take this 2-0 victory, Lafon?
For sure, absolutely were. I want to talk a little bit about actually Hybrid's attack round because they get through first point pretty cleanly. Stalls them out about 10 seconds maximum. Not really. They get through the first point, but then Clarity does something much better. They actually die before the point actually gets unlocked, and they're able to come back in and contest before the cart makes it through that first gateway, which gives them just a natural high ground, a natural choke to work with. And with the better mobility of the dive tanks that they have, they're able to take the high ground away. They're able to zone out, Hybrid Esports' tanks, their supports, and the DPS, most importantly. And that just gives a shooting gallery to both Amadian and Ultima Wep on the Widow and Hanzo, respectively. And Hybrid, they're sticking because they've got ultimates, but you can't always make a bad comp work, even with the brute force that is ultimates. And it kind of zoned them out long enough that they just stalled to overtime, and we all saw what happened at the end of that attack round.
Oh, I don't want to talk about that much, but we did see Hybrid also trying to react to the success coming in from Amadian's Hanzo on that map, trying to go from a Hanzo Widow of their own to that Sombra Genji. Rian, why do you think that a Sombra Genji could have been a good counter to Double Sniper, and why didn't it necessarily work? Was it just kind of forgetting about the payload?
Well, much of the time, right? Same kind of thing on paper. Genji and Sombra, highly mobile. They can get anywhere, anytime. So you're thinking double sniper, right? They got to stay in their nests, right? A lot of the time, and they can escape. Sure, they got the grapple, but Genji and Sombra can just chase them down very quickly. And again, Sombra, she's got that kind of get out of jail free card with a translocator. Genji's got his deflect. He's really good at just doing a whole lot of damage up close and personal. But thing was, I think, while the DPS was trying their best to kill the supports, the supports, and the tanks were playing to enable those snipers as much as possible, because that's what you do, right? As tanks and as supports, you play to enable your DPS and allow them to get picks. And part of that is, you heal them when they get pressured, you support them any way you can, or you just pressure the front line, which is, a lot of times I think what Clarity was doing. They were pressuring the front line, forcing the DPS back rather than playing so far forward, trying to take out the snipers. They needed rather their help on the front line, dealing with the dive tanks of Clarity, which, we saw the result of that map. It really worked out for them.
And Clarity on their own attack, there was a push during that second phase of Junkertown where they seemed to be using every single ultimate they had. Lafon, I believe an Earth Shatter came out during that time, Bastion tank mode, and yet Hybrid still managed to win that fight? What allowed Clarity to come back and finish Junkertown, finally getting that 2-0 victory after using all of those ultimates in that single fight?
One thing that they do, one thing that Clarity has done throughout the history, the duration rather of this series, words are about as useful to me right now as apparently ultimates were to that fight.
Oh.
But tripping over my own. That being said, one of the things that was really definitive about that point is that Clarity. They said they play reactively, but that's not strictly speaking true. What actually happened is they were more confident in their switches. They were more, on point with what they actually needed to do. They saw what was the correct play to make and made it. Something that a lot of teams, especially new ones, which it should be noted, Hybrid is a fairly new roster, only about a month old, but something that committed or confident rosters have been around for a while, rosters that trust each other, something that they're really good at doing is switching to the correct comp for the correct time. And Clarity did that as soon as they needed to. They used the ultimates, they finally didn't get any value, and then they switched to dive right away. And yes, it didn't work the first time, didn't work the second time, but eventually they found the cracks in the armor and were able to push their way through. Hybrid kind of stuck on their comp throughout the entirety of the map, and when they did switch, seemed sort of unconfident about how they were playing and weren't able to execute to the same level. So Clarity, yes, they played the comps that they wanted to, and they played them well across every single time they played it.
Yes, and we have been so lucky to see Clarity excel during those compositional switches, being very proactive as opposed to reactive. So we're very fortunate to be able to have a discussion with M. July, one of the players on Clarity. So I'm very happy to introduce M. July to this cast. How are you?
Hi, good.
What was it? What was it? Oh, sorry, excuse me. What was it like trying to switch up those compositions last minute on Junkertown during your last attack?
It was just more of a comfort pick thing. We realized we were really mind gaming the enemy team. It was more to just put them out of their element to try and play at our own pace and force them to do things that they wouldn't have otherwise wanted to do. And we pretty much got the results we wanted. We forced the enemy team to do things that they didn't like doing, and we just capitalized off of that.
Can you take me through a little bit? Speaking of which, the defense on Kings Row, where you full held Hybrid, there was so much ultimate conservation coming in from your team. What were your comms like in trying to make sure that you still had that economy high?
It was more knowing what the enemy team wanted to do at any particular moment, and it was a little bit off of how they were positioning based off what they were, what they wanted. So certain points, they were trying to look for a hack on our Rhine. They wanted to get aggressive. We would back up, look for a re-engage, or we would just go aggressive with our own ults. Looking for opportunities here and there, depending on what the enemy team decided to do at any given moment, was the key factor there. And certain if they had been a little more, if they had been a lot more aggressive, maybe we would have had to use a lot more ultis. It was more of a positioning thing and how they were playing.
So as you move forward into the next round, what are you most excited for? Which maps are you looking forward to shine on? So we have been playing on Kings Row and Junkertown, but I do believe that we will be headed over to Busan, a very new map. How do you feel about playing that one coming up?
I think overall we feel pretty confident on Busan. Like you said, it is a new map, and there still is a potential for us to see things that we haven't previously seen out from other teams. But all in all, we're pretty confident. We have a few key comps that we'd like to run, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
That's right. And lastly, so you showed incredible support play tonight. It was really fun to watch. Do you have any advice for supports who are kind of struggling, are caught in a rut with this current meta? What would you recommend to people trying to climb up either in rank or in skill?
Being situationally aware. You have to know what the enemy team is doing and what the proper reaction to what they're doing is. If you know the enemy team wants to do a certain thing, maybe you can ask your team to be a little more aggressive in general, to catch them off guard before they're able to set up anything. It's a lot of it's a mind game. A lot of it is experience. Having played against like a certain engagement before. I think, the more you play and the more you really analyze what the enemy team is doing and what you're doing in response to it, I think that's one of the best ways to improve.
Well, thank you so much for that advice and your time, July. Best of luck to you and the rest of Clarity as we move on further into this tournament.
Yep, thank you.
All right, and thank you to all of you watching at home. I've had a great time with Rien and Lafon. I mean, you got to hear these guys cast over and over. It's so exciting, but right now we do have to take a bit of a 40-minute break before 20, excuse me, before our next match. So please hold in tight. We'll have some even more exciting Overwatch coming for you soon.